afternoon game that we're talking about is two Tigers, number 23 LSU at number 21 Missouri. And really, Dalton, the storyline for me is this is a tale of two Tigers, man, because you got one team in LSU who was the number 5 team in the country opening to enter the season. They had legitimate college football playoff aspirations. Now they have 2 losses before October even started. So now all of a sudden those playoff dreams are basically all but gone because there's never been a 2-loss team in the playoffs history that made the 4-team college football playoff. And on the other side, Missouri, who a lot of people really didn't have that high expectations for, they're currently have their highest ranking in 8 years thanks to its first 5-0 start since 2013. And Eli Drinkwitz was a little bit on the hot seat, I think, before the season started. Now, all of a sudden, they might talk about an extension for him, man. They're really performing at a very, very high level right now. So Missouri is number 21. I had them at number 17, so I think they should be even higher than where they are right now. But it's a dream start for Missouri, and it's a kind of a nightmare start for LSU so far, man.
It is, and I'm going to tell you the best thing Eli Drinkwitz did was, in the few weeks I've been on this show with you, there's 2 guys that stand out, 2 offensive coordinators that stand out. They're both in their first year with their teams. One is Ben Arbuckle at Washington State.
Yep.
The other is Kirby Moore at Missouri. Came from Fresno State, always a good program over there. They're even ranked right now after he left. He has unlocked everything about this offense. Brady Cook is coming off the best game of his career. Luther Burden is the best. He's the highest graded receiver, at least in the country. He might be currently the best receiver in the country the way he's playing. Check this out. He's first in receiving grade. He's 3rd in yards per route run. He's 2nd in missed tackles forced. He's in the top 20 in deep grade. He's 3rd in intermediate grade. He's the best receiver in the country on screens. This guy can beat you at all levels. And they have found a way to get their best player, because Burden didn't play like this last year. Moore came in here and found out this guy was their best athlete, and he's getting him the ball like crazy. And Cook, the way he's being coached, I'm going to tell you, this offense, schematically, it's fantastic too. There's a lot of passing concepts in this offense that are similar, kind of like Sean McVay's offense, to be honest with you, a little bit from the Rams. There's the concepts at times seem simple, but they come from so many different angles, and they take deep shots. They have a good feel. Cook has a great feel right now for either throwing the ball into windows and zone coverage or identifying one-on-one matchups and taking his shots. He's been coached incredibly well right now. Kirby Moore, actually, just as much as the players, is at the forefront of this turnaround. It's incredible. He's going to find himself a head coaching job very soon, because you look at this offense, and they still last week, despite it being Cook's best game, and Burden and Marquise Johnson has 2 40-plus yard touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Oklahoma transfer Theo Weiss. That's going to be the scary part. If they start adding more on top of a running game that still put up almost 140 yards last week, Burden might be the best receiver in the country right now. If they get Weiss and Johnson involved the way they were involved last week, this gets dangerous, because Cook's a whole different guy now. It's a whole different guy. Before this year in his career, 19 big-time throws, 20 turnover-worthy plays. This year, those respective marks are 11 and 2. 2 turnover-worthy plays for Brady Cook in 5 games. It's a whole different animal all of a sudden. They have weapons. They have balance. They have a quarterback who's throwing the ball with conviction. They have guys who can make plays after the catch. They have guys who can make plays vertically. And they have a play caller who is molding it all together. I'm telling you, if you throw it on and you didn't know it was Missouri, you'd be like, wow, this team is wicked efficient. They are finding every hole in every defense they're playing. And to be honest with you, that passing offense against LSU's coverage unit right now it should scare Brian Kelly to death, because LSU right now is the worst coverage unit in the SEC by a mile. They are, 118th in the country, the 4th worst in the Power 5. And if you just isolate their secondary, you want to know something weird? We were talking about Harold Perkins needs to rush the passer more, right? And figuring if he rushes the passer more, maybe it'll help get guys under pressure. You know, Harold Perkins is their highest graded coverage player, like by a lot. They don't have a single defensive back with a coverage grade over 65. This secondary is struggling so bad right now, and you saw obviously they gave up 55 to Ole Miss last week. This secondary is struggling so bad, it might threaten Brian Kelly's job security because they can't cover anything. And to go against another team with a high-flying offense in Missouri, Perkins last week finally rushed the passer 30-plus times. I think it was 31 times. And they had their worst game in coverage. They don't have any answers right now on defense. Their team right now, I remember you talking about Alabama last year, that they were basically Bryce Young putting out fires. That's LSU now.
Yep.
Daniels, Neighbors, Thomas putting out fires. That's it. Trying to keep up with everything that their defense is giving away. They gave up, 34 to Arkansas? They gave up 45 to Florida State. They gave up 55 to Ole Miss. They're not winning one-on-one. There's too many busts in coverage. This guy's running wide open and if Harold Perkins, we did not come into the year thinking Harold Perkins would lead them in coverage grade by a lot.
Yeah.
That's not okay. And the fact that they need him to rush the passer, when he rushes the passer, they're pretty darn close to the worst secondary in the country. And against these weapons and what I see schematically from Missouri, it's going to be a major problem for LSU. I really think so.
Dude, absolutely. You literally took the matchup away from me. That's exactly the matchup that you have to watch in this game, man. Brady Cook, you mentioned it, man. I mean, I keep going back to our Kansas State preview when we were saying Brady Cook is kind of a turnover where they play machine. Like, is he going to be able to lead this team to victory? He has been fan-freaking-tastic. He's made us look dumb, honestly, so far this season because we really didn't have much belief in him. And honestly, a lot of people, I have actually a lot of friends who root for Missouri, guys who host Missouri podcasts. They didn't have much belief in him either. I was on their podcast in the preseason, and they were talking to me about a quarterback battle. They were saying, hey, is there any other quarterbacks that can step up because Brady Cook might not be the guy? He's been the guy, man. Last year, he was 94th in the country in passing grade with a 66.7. This year, he's 17th with an 88.7 passing grade. It's 22 points higher, Brady Cook, from last year to this year. I think you made a great point. Kirby Moore has been fantastic. And the other point that you made too, Luther Burden III, man, he is your Biletnikoff winner right now. You see right there, he leads all receivers in the country in overall grade, leads them all in receiving yards. He leads all Power 5 receivers in yards after the catch. I compared this guy to Deebo Samuel multiple times now. He is a special player with the ball in his hands. And the good news for Missouri fans, he's only a true sophomore. This kid has to come back to school next year where he should be the number one receiver in college football heading into next year if he's not already this year. And he should be the number one receiver in the 2025 NFL draft as well. This kid is special. And like you mentioned, LSU, fourth worst coverage grade in the Power 5, second worst in terms of EPA per pass. They got to get pressure. LSU does a pretty good job in pass rushing, especially when number 4, Harold Perkins, is allowed to rush the passer. 12th best pass rushing grade in Power 5. But also, Missouri is tied for 10th in pass blocking grade. The offensive line has really held up really well. Javon Foster, the left tackle there, has been one of the best tackles in college football so far this season. So it's not like, the Ole Miss game last week where Ole Miss had kind of an average offensive line because, okay, that's where LSU's defense can step up. Missouri kind of has an answer for them in a lot of ways, man. And I am scared. I'm scared for that LSU secondary. And because like you said, they are really, really struggling this year. So with all that said, Dalton, are you picking the upset? Are you picking the Missouri Tigers to take down LSU?
I'm going to do it. I think, to be honest with you, I think this is even more than the Red River. I think this is actually the most fun game.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look back at this game and go, wow, that was fun. This game's going to be a roller coaster. Okay. LSU is going to put up points. Missouri's defense is better than theirs, but it's not elite. Daniels is the best deep passer in the country right now. Neighbors is the best deep receiver in the country right now, and Brian Thomas is somewhere in the top 10. There's going to be big plays back and forth like crazy in this game. It's gonna get nuts. Okay, unless Missouri's defense is just, they don't need to be like great in this game. It's hard to be great against Jaden Daniels, but they're better than LSU on defense too. And both teams have a reasonable amount of balance. Both teams run the ball between the tackles really, really well. Okay, but I think with the way Missouri's offense is rolling, and they're at home, and the biggest thing for me last week especially is really the last 2 weeks, they've shown that Burden is not the only weapon. Yeah. Right. If they have Burden and Weiss and Johnson going the way they've been going the last 2 weeks, they're going to be a huge, huge problem. And especially for the team that, look, this is the last week for me, for LSU to try to prove, like, okay, can you guys cover? Is the secondary going to continue to give up 40 points a game? Because if they don't, I don't know how Missouri doesn't score 38 to 40 something points on. I think Jaden Daniels, if they win this game, is going to have to be perfect. He was spectacular. He's been spectacular all year. I mean, honestly, second half against Florida State notwithstanding, he darn near led him back against Ole Miss with under a minute to go, and 2 false starts just killed him. I got nothing against Daniels and their receivers, but that feels like the only way they win this game. And if Missouri has balance and Cook keeps playing, this is a different guy.
Yeah,
this is a different guy. The way he's being coached, you can see it on tape. There's no jitters. There's no nothing. He's throwing every ball with the utmost conviction. I mean, ripping it into zone windows, taking chances. Sometimes you just give your best athletes a chance. Fade balls and one-on-one matchups and tight coverage. He's throwing every type of ball into every type of coverage. It's a different guy. So I think it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to take Missouri 45-41 in a high, whatever the over is, take it.
I love it, man. And yeah, that's a great point you made, man, because you look at last week, Ole Miss, Trey Harris had 150 yards, Jordan Watkins had 100 yards. Like, it wasn't like LSU's defense can focus in on one receiver. And that's ultimately was their undoing, and why Ole Miss put up 55 points on LSU was because they had a multitude of receivers that Jackson Dart could throw to. That's the same thing with Missouri as well. So, it's not just Burden, man. Like you said, Weiss is doing really well. Johnson's playing really well. It is kind of a fun matchup that we're seeing because there's a really good chance two of the 3 finalists for the Biletnikoff Award are playing in this game, and Luther Burden III and Malik Neighbors. And Brian Thomas has honestly played fantastic so far this season as well. So really, if you love wide receiver play, tune into this game, man, because it is going to be an awesome receiver game. Dude, I agree with you. We're both picking the upset here, and I think LSU is favored by 6.5, I believe, against Missouri. We're favored by 6 right now. I'm taking Missouri 34-31 over LSU. I think this is an upset. I think Missouri at home is a big part of it, and I think Missouri continues its dream season, and LSU continues to fall deeper into their nightmare with a 3-3 start to the season when all of their fans were saying we're making the college football playoff this year. Now you go 3-3 to start the season. It's a nightmarish start, man, but I think it's going to continue. I think Missouri is going to keep going up those rankings, man. They deserve to be higher than 21, in my opinion, and they're going to keep going higher than that, man. So I think Missouri is going to win this game 34-31, so it should be a great game.